This is Timothée Chalamet, one of the most recognizable actors of his generation, promoting his film on a late-night talk show. At first glance, it's just another styled outfit, but eagle-eyed football fans might spot something interesting. Underneath the jacket, he's wearing the shirt of French club Saint-Étienne. Now for Chalamet, it's about the club he grew up supporting, but for others, that may not always be the case. For instance, here's Kim Kardashian in a vintage Roma shirt, Rita Ora in a throwback Genoa top, Travis Scott in a rare Borussia Mönchengladbach youth shirt from the 2000s, and Drake flexing a limited edition Juventus drop. Let's be honest, it's unlikely that Drake had a deep connection to Turin growing up, or any of these other clubs here for that matter. But these images prove one thing: football shirts have transcended the stadium and entered the mainstream. For decades, wearing a football shirt outside of match day meant one thing: tribal loyalty. It was about identity, hometown pride, hardcore fandom. Sure, celebrities occasionally wore them, but usually as a gimmick or a promo stunt. Fast forward to now, football shirts are everywhere. When you go out on the streets, to the mall or a music festival, you are bound to see a handful, much more than the past. And the wildest part, not everyone wearing these shirts is following the team week in, week out. So how did we get here? How did a piece of sportswear reserved for football heads turn into the global fashion flex? And what does that mean for football fans? This is Football Explained. For most of football history, players wore shirts with no names and no sponsors, just colours, and maybe a club crest to separate one team from another. It wasn't until the 70s that clubs started commercialising shirts and adding sponsors. It was revolutionary at the time, and controversial, when Liverpool added Hitachi to the shirt in 1979, becoming one of the first English clubs to wear a sponsor. Many fans and traditionalists saw it as selling out. It sparked debates about money creeping into the soul of the sport, a conversation we're still having today, but it made complete financial sense for the club. Here's what then Liverpool chairman John Smith said about the matter: "We're fighting for our existence. Hardly any clubs are profitable anymore. The days of surviving on ticket sales alone are over. We have to find new income sources." The one-year Hitachi deal was worth £50,000 at the time. And just like that, a whole new avenue opened for football clubs commercialising the football kit. By the 80s, shirt sponsors were everywhere. Brands like JVC, Sony, and Candy weren't just sponsors. They became part of the club identity. You couldn't think of Milan without Opel, or Manchester United without Sharp. In a few weeks, we have another video lined up about how shirt sponsors reflect our society, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. But it wasn't until the 90s that the real boom began. This is where things leveled up, design-wise, culturally, and commercially. To start with, the clubs put thought behind the designs. It was the era of massive sponsor logos, eye-catching colour palettes and oversized fits, like the purple and yellow checkerboard of Fiorentina, or Arsenal's unforgettable lightning bolt away kit.
How do you somehow connect the word Gunners and the cannon graphic into something that's a little more energetic and vibrant and bold and powerful? And so that's where the lightning bolt motif became kind of a signature element. It's all about just kind of...
And it wasn't just the football clubs following the trend. The 1990 World Cup saw some of the boldest and colourful designs for the time. These designs burned into the memory not just because they looked bold, but because they became symbols of moments. Baggio's penalty in '94, Ronaldo's tears in '98, Zidane's headbutt in 2006. Every shirt became a story. Back then, wearing your team's shirt was more than aesthetics. It was about allegiance. It said where you were from, who you stood with, and sometimes, more importantly, who you were against. By the early 2000s, kit deals exploded in value, and by the end of the decade, it was a significant revenue driver. From the 2007 season to the 2011 season, Premier League annual shirt sales rose from 4.8 million to 5.8 million units, and it's only expected to keep growing. And the shirts? They became global exports, worn in Bangkok, Brooklyn, and Bangladesh, not just Birmingham. Every new season meant new home kits, away kits, third kits, and now even fourth kits. And with that, a full-blown shirt economy was born. Later in the video, we explore how football shirts help fans feel part of a community. But did you know that during the 2020 lockdowns, 28.5% of fans said losing football impacted their mental health, and many say their mood still depends on how their team performs? If you're looking to improve your mental health and want to speak to someone qualified, then you might want to check out BetterHelp, who are the kind paid partners of this segment. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's entirely online. That means you can access a huge network of credentialed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of mental health challenges, from anxiety and low mood to life transitions and personal stress. In the past, BetterHelp has also partnered with Common Goal, which was co-funded by Juan Mata, to support mental health in football communities. The best part is that it's designed to fit into your schedule. You can speak to your therapist however you're comfortable, through messages, calls, video, or chat, and if for any reason the fit isn't right, you can switch therapists at no cost. So, if you've been considering therapy, BetterHelp makes it easy to start. You can get matched with a credentialed therapist as soon as possible. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Plaantik and get 10% off your first month of therapy. Now, back to the story. Fast forward to the 2020s, and something strange has happened. Football shirts are still being bought by fans, of course, but increasingly they're being bought by non-fans. People who can't name the starting 11, who've never watched a full match, who might not even like football, but if they see a cool retro shirt, their eyes would light up. Welcome to blokecore, a trend that mixes vintage sportswear with casual street style, donned by younger millennials and Gen Zs. Think baggy jeans, Adidas Sambas, and a retro football shirt. Blokecore draws heavy inspiration from the casuals, a UK football subculture from the 80s and 90s who wore terrace fashion as a badge of honour. But there's a modern twist. The shirts don't have to mean anything anymore. Wearing a 1998 Japan World Cup kit isn't about loyalty, it's about vibes. It's less tribal, more archival. Retro shirts are in demand because they're visually striking. The graphics were wild, the colours were loud, the sponsors were nostalgic, as opposed to today's betting logos. What used to gather dust in your dad's closet now gets snapped up by celebrities on away days, turning forgotten kits into fashion grails. This will all sound wild to someone who doesn't care about anything else beyond the pitch. And it's not just retro kits. This trend has boosted interest in football shirts overall, and in turn, football itself. To understand it all a bit better, we met with Robert Childs, who owns a football jersey shop based in Perth, Australia. He has had first-hand experience in seeing the shift.
I think football's blown up really internationally. You've seen a huge growth in America in the last 2 to 3 years, even in Australia. But I think blokecore definitely had a part to play. I mean, it would obviously bring up conversations with people and make people look into it oh my god, what is this, what is football shirts, and then get into football as a general. But I think that in Australia, football has just blown up within the last 2 or 3 years because I think people really are starting to get around football culture. So to answer your question, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it would have had some form of contribution to the
Now
growth.
all of this has gotten to a point where some clubs are more famous for their kits than their football. Enter Venezia FC from the city of Venice. Their 2021 black and gold shirt sold out instantly and featured in GQ. That's more hype than most Champions League teams. This has also given rise to the micro-trends and subcultures within football shirt culture itself.
Definitely get micro trends within blokecore that popped up a lot. There was the whole Brazil, girls wearing Brazil tops, 98 Brazil top. That was a huge micro trend within the blokecore trend.
This is Diana Al-Shammari, better known online as thefootballgal. What began as a hobby, embroidering football kits with floral patterns, has since taken on a life of its own. Her unique designs have been worn by the likes of Joe Jonas on tour, and perhaps most notably by France's Jules Koundé. Her designs connect with a growing community that sees football shirts not just as uniforms, but as canvases for personal and cultural identity. We spoke to Diana for her perspective on it all.
So football shirts already mean something to people, like a club, a country, a memory, a community. And I found that my embroidery adds another layer, something emotional or cultural, something individualistic, like a flower from where you're from, or a color that reminds you of, your country or your city. It's still a football shirt, but it's yours, and I think that's powerful. I think people always looking for ways to make the game feel more personal and more reflective of their lives. I think this customization transforms something that is mass-produced into a unique artifact that resonates on a deeper level.
These instances are examples that football shirt culture is evolving through the clubs, the designs, and the community. But there's one major player we haven't touched on yet: the brands behind the shirts, and how they helped turn football apparel into a billion-dollar industry. Global football apparel market is worth billions, and it's growing. It was valued at $6.49 billion in 2024, and it's projected to hit $10.57 billion by 2033. Clubs aren't just releasing one kit a year anymore, it's 3, sometimes 4. For some, it's a love letter to the game. For others, it's just a way to stand out. But for brands, it's solid business. A 2023 survey by Statista showed that over 38% of football shirt buyers worldwide said they purchased shirts for fashion and style rather than to support a team. In regions like Southeast Asia and part of Africa, shirt ownership often outweighs actual live match viewership. That shift is significant. It means brands aren't just designing for football matches anymore. They're designing for Instagram posts, fashion runways, and retro collectors. Just look at the resale market. Sites like Classic Football Shirts have grown into multi-million-dollar businesses with year-on-year growth that outpaces many official club stores. Even eBay and StockX report spikes around retro kit searches during major football events. And brands are naturally trying to get their slice of the pie. Nike is reissuing T90 boots and classic kits, and Adidas is bringing back their signature trefoil logo from the yesteryears. In fact, it could be argued that the retro kit trend saved Adidas's numbers after their reported significant financial loss in 2022.
And that was the fallout because of Kanye West making comments and them having to part ways with Ye. And so everyone was like, oh, Adidas are going to struggle. Where's Adidas going to go from here? And Adidas have really, I must say, had a good 2-year run since. Bloat core being a trend, and I think that, to be honest, is the main reason why Adidas has been doing really well.
Naturally, brands and clubs would want to follow the dollars and make football kits available for everyone. It sounds like a win-win. Fans want shirts, clubs sell them. Everyone's happy. But in football, just as in life, too much of a good thing comes with a cost. The average price of an adult replica shirt from a Premier League club in 2024 could set you back from £80 to at least £180. And even more for the quote-unquote authentic versions, ones that mimic what players wear on the pitch. For a family with kids, that's hundreds per season. And that's just the home kit. Clubs now regularly produce away, third, fourth kits along with multiple full-fledged capsule drops throughout the season, many of which are limited runs designed to spike urgency. This has created a culture of overconsumption and exclusion. For many long-time fans, the explosion feels more like exploitation than celebration. Fans who once proudly wore their club colours now feel priced out of their own team's identity. In some cases, supporter groups have even protested the release of new kits mid-season, calling them cash grabs. Then there's the counterfeit boom. With demand rising and prices surging, counterfeit shirts have flooded the market. According to a 2023 report by the OECD, fake football merchandise, led by shirts, made up a large share of the estimated $450 billion global counterfeit trade. Some are near identical copies sold online. Others are fantasy kits blending club crests with unrelated designs. This was spotted by Elia, a guy who runs a small retro football shop in the heart of Rome called Goal Roma. When we visited the store and later had a chat with him, he mentioned that while he welcomed the surge in interest of retro kits, he was fearful of the counterfeit culture that was simultaneously growing.
I think that they're killing the market with the fake jerseys and they're reproducing everything. Even in the Italian culture of football jersey, I see many people come in the store wearing a not authentic jersey. And then they ask me the prices for the authentic. It feels like they're making fun of me because the prices, of course, are more expensive than that they are wearing. So that one is kind of sad.
I think that it's rare to find now in the younger generation people that actually believe in authenticity. You know what I mean? Like, people don't care if something's fake or something's real. Like, I find like majority of our consumers that are the older generation do believe in that. But there is like a good group of kids that obviously do understand it, you know what I mean? But I think that now in our generation, people don't really give a shit.
But perhaps the most subtle issue is creative fatigue. We recently made a video about Nike struggling with football, and part of the reason was a lack of creative designs. This point, however, could be applied to most brands today to some degree, as clubs, brands, and even influencers chase the retro trend and churn out kits at a breakneck pace. The designs are starting to blur, templates are reused, colour schemes repeat. What once felt like a badge of identity now risks becoming just another drop in an endless feed constantly curated by the algorithm. Now everyone wearing a football shirt is a trend, and with every trend, there's a cycle, which means we could get to a point where it all ends someday, and we go back to the 90s casuals.
But I think that's starting to obviously fizzle out a little bit now, which is actually somewhat a good thing for us because it brings back the people that actually fans. I mean everyone that loves football, of course, but I think that the actual market of football kits is now starting to get back to normal, which is really good.
Here's the thing, football shirts are full of contradictions. They represent community, yet chase exclusivity. They honor tradition, but thrive on trends. Not everyone wearing a retro kit knows the backstory, and that's okay, because football, above all, is for everyone. We all might don different colours and crests, but at the end of the day, football is the thread that binds us all.
How many football shirts can I find at Disneyland? There's number one, the best shirt. Then I found this Manchester City shirt, bringing our total to 2. Until we spotted this guy in an AC Milan top, and this guy wearing a PSG shirt, bringing our total to 4. And we started to see some football shirts everywhere we looked. There's an Argentina shirt in the distance. And the luck just kept coming. We have found another one. And coming, and coming, and coming. That is an Italy shirt. And just as we were about to leave, we saw one more shirt. That's another shirt. Bringing our grand total to 15 football shirts.